12, 6.3. Welcome to the humble abode. We're getting started here. Vectors in a plane. And we were talking about component form, right? If I were to, let's say, graph 3, 5 with these like greater than, less than signs, does anyone know how I could graph it? 4 tickets. If you can just tell me how we graph 3, 5, which is a vector. Okay, so it actually, we would go not left 3, but right 3, up 5, right? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go up here, and this is the point where we are at. But the problem is that this is not it's not a vector yet, is it? It's just a dot. It's just me, just like sitting there. So how do I create the vector? Well, I always start, if given in component form, I start from where? 0, 0, and I travel through the point that I'm at. Cool? And so this vector, which is actually what shape, by the way? It's a ray. Yeah, it's a line segment. I'll take either on that. And that's how we would say that the vector would be here. Okay? Cool. All right, now we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. How would I find what the magnitude is? Someone raise their hand and tell me. We'll give some tickets out. 6 tickets if you could tell me. How do I find the magnitude? So this is 3. This is 5. Can someone tell me how I find the magnitude? If you can just raise your hand for me. Kennedy?
Are you going to do Pythagorean theorem to find the?
Yeah, you're exactly right. We're going to do Pythagorean theorem to find what it would be. And in this case, I think it would be like square root of 34 or something. But we'll get into that later. Can someone tell me how I find the direction angle for 6 more tickets? Feeling gracious today. Say 3? Not quite. It's a good thought. How do I find the direction where it's headed? Well, this right here, this right here is magnitude, right? It's either the force that I push with, it's the speed, it's the distance. Direction angle would be what? Theta. How do I find what theta is? Can someone help me? Graham?
SOHCAHTOA.
Yeah, specifically what SOHCAHTOA? Sine, cosine, or tangent here? Tangent, yeah, tan inverse, right? Tan inverse. And Josh, I think I heard you too. You said something too. Cool. So yeah, we would say that this right here corresponds to a vector. And what would be my initial side here? 0, 0. Good. This is my initial. If it's in component form, we always start at 0, 0. You'll see some where it's not the case, and we'll talk over that. What is my terminal side? The full point would be 3, 5, right? Now notice, is this in component form? No, right? It's just regular dot parentheses, right? Is this in component form? No, it's regular parentheses, right? But when I end up creating a vector, that's when we have the greater than and less than sign. Does that make sense? Okay. Football players, y'all still do the pursuit drill? Is this like a thing still? Okay. I kind of see this as the pursuit drill. And if you don't know what the pursuit drill is, I could come up with another illustration. I hear it's terrible, okay? I think I have this. If I'm wrong, just say, Coach, not a good illustration. I view this as like you start in a specific spot as the defender. Am I right with this? Okay? All right, so you start here. And on like the go, whistle, whatever, right? At that point, you are to pursue the running back, right? If you take too flat of an angle, he'll roast you, right? And if you take too deep of an angle, he'll get 15, 20 extra yards, right? Am I right with this? Okay. So the idea is to be able to create the right initial to terminal, the right here, vector, to be able to then meet him at the certain spot, right? I think of it as that because I have my initial, my starting point, my ending point, but where I'm headed is the vector that's created there. Y'all good with this? Cool. All right. There's also a second form that we can write. Not just component form, but we can write it in another way. And again, this is a bold letter, just a heads up. Does anyone know how I can change that to standard form? Say that again, Josh. Not quite. It's a good thought. Negative 3, 5 would be kind of down here, right? Just kind of continuing. It's like 3i plus 5j. It's just another way of writing it. So it'd be v equals 3i plus 5j. It's like the gangsta way of writing it. Cool? All right? Y'all say gangsta now? Fur? Yeah? Again?
Is that part of the homework?
That's a part of the homework. Yeah. Cool. So what would be the standard form of this component vector? Yeah, negative I plus 2j. Cool? All right. Are we good with this? Okay, cool. Let's keep going. I think a lot of these are easy. I just want to make sure you get a lot of the background behind it, why we're doing it, and how this could be used, okay? All right, so real quick, head and tail. These two, I think this will be our last one, maybe even not this one, but we'll try. We have a head and a tail. What's my initial? 3, negative 8. Good, Josh, okay? Someone else tell me, if you don't have tickets today, tell me what would be the terminal? What's the terminal side? These are two separate ones, by the way. So the top one, what would be the terminal? Yeah, Kennedy.
7, 9.
On the bottom it would be. On the bottom, what about the top?
Negative 1.
Yep, that'd be it right there. We're going to look at this again tomorrow. Have a blessed day. We'll see y'all. I like the color. Did those print color over there? Or did you print those at home?
I printed them in the library.
Library. Taylor, are y'all good? Yeah. You mean
I'll bring it out. I'll try it.
oh, so you mean yes, you read that? Here's what I would say. I'm going to basketball practice. So, if you have questions, just email me. If you wanted to use my room, I'm okay with that. Is that fair? I did that.
I think it's.
Yeah, you got it. Earlier. 250? No, I was messing with you earlier in class about you looking at me. Sarcastic.
Oh. Coach, I know I got you. I know you can do 250.
No. Back in the day, you know.
It's good.
What is the amount that the NFL Combine?
225, right?
225. That is crazy.
Hunter did it 19 times last year.
Who?
A punter.
Hunter?
Really? Tennessee.
Hunter.
A punter did 225.
How does that even help you as a punter?
He got invited to the combine and repped out. Aaron, big guy.
I can bench 225, 19. You're a punter.
Hey,
It doesn't even matter. Hey guys, have a good day. See y'all, Kayla. See you today. When the sun sets free, oh, it's free. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am.